Education is a future-facing activity. As educators or instructional designers, our first priority should always be the student. The goal plans and objectives built within our plans and designs must be timely and informative in order for student success. We have to provide our students with a reliable instructional model to work from. In this technological age, education is evolving, and learning to manage a classroom from a distance is becoming the norm for professional educators. The predominant instructional model is now online and traditional face-to-face instructional technologies. Technological pathways are being developed and incorporated into formal classroom settings to help bridge the gap that exists between traditional students and the digital age student. In the current technologically pervasive environments, the classroom of the future will have to consider prior training, environment, and personal knowledge preferences of learners. Today's learning environment resembles nothing of the pedagogical framework of the past, and that poses a couple questions for us. One, given the network communication is stable, how does mobile technology enhance cognitive learning, instruction, and retention? And two, what quality measures currently exist with mobile learning? Individual learners are innovative in their exploration for information. Benedictine University at Mesa, wanting to appease these learners, has begun treating students to a lecture-free learning environment. In this program, called the Flipped Classroom Approach, teachers record lectures which students watch outside of class, and valuable class time is saved for hands-on interactive learning. At Boise State University, a tech support program that should keep most devices running and students and faculty working productively has recently been introduced. Their tactic, real-time remote support. Student and faculty can access support for almost any device instantly on or off campus. At Indiana University, Wi-Fi is a big deal on campus, so Indiana employed 5,200 wireless access points to keep its 110,000 students and 19,000 faculty members connected. The university has embraced the Bring Your Own Device policy, BYOD. The network can handle more than 80,000 users logging on every single day, a number that's sure to keep growing. Smartphone apps from Dropbox to SugarSync to iCloud also offer mobile access to digital media. While smartphones aren't ideal emulators of desktop content, the access to digital thinking is improving as the apps and app developers become more creative in content display. The combination of e-learning and cloud computing, both private and public, may not only extend the reach of education, but also its efficiency. Using the public cloud, high-performance computing resources that might otherwise never be feasible for some institutions can now be used with pay-as-you-go cloud services. Massive online courses, MOOCs, have made educational content widely available to anyone with an internet connection. Their publishers are also making the content more engaging and adapting for classroom use, while mobile devices make it possible to learn anytime and anywhere. The speed and volume at which students can now access information through digital media is enormous, and the informational cap doesn't appear to be diminishing anytime soon. This massive amount of informational data has to have some mechanism in place to help students assimilate, organize, and store the information at their disposal. The future scenarios of educational technology will go beyond the classrooms of today, both those engrossed in technology usage as well as those involved in instruction and design.
My community is my classroom.
Instructional technology.
Higher educational institutions are adopting cloud-based cognitive systems to collect and analyze all this data over a long period of time, creating longitudinal student records that would give teachers the information they need to provide personalized learning experiences for their students. The cloud-based cognitive systems could also couple a student's goals and interests with data on their learning styles so that teachers can determine what type of content to give the student and the best way to present it. The teacher would use this cognitive system to find out the student's learning style and develop a plan that addresses their knowledge gaps. These systems would also help teachers identify students who are most at risk. Why are they struggling? As well as insight into the interventions needed to overcome these challenges. The content would also be automatically tagged so that the student would spend more time consuming the information they need rather than trying to search for it. When you give students the technological tools they need to be successful while removing some of the rigid constraints that traditional education has imposed on students, you encourage self-learning and promote innovation. This problem-based learning study will focus on grade 8 from a selected middle school supported by a common teacher collaboration time, where teachers assigned to specific teams will be able to share ideas and meet about students, curricula, and assessment during a common daily planning session. Study will include 2 8th grade social study teachers across 10 classrooms and include all 8th grade students. 60% of the 8th grade students will be involved with traditional non-flipped or cloud classroom procedures and are referred to as the controlled group. 40% of the students will receive the treatment, flipped classroom, cloud-based classroom, and are known as the experimental group. This sample will focus on a middle school where the ratio of male and females is measured within 2%. This study will have a non-equivalent quasi-experimental design that spans a month. The study will assess the effective outcomes through pre-test, treatment, and post-test procedures. The measured component included science, technology, attitudes, and self-efficiency. The post-test will measure student achievements of social studies processing skills. The actual study assignment will consist of students obtaining demographic, cultural, social, psychographic, and government data of their local community. Students from both the control and experimental groups will be paired up for this assignment. The control group will use traditional non-flipped classroom techniques such as paper maps, county records, books, etc., storing their obtained information on USB storage drives. The treatment group will use a combination of flipped classrooms, cloud-based, and mobile technologies to access, obtain, and store information. Students will be given a pretest to determine their pre-study local social studies aptitude, providing a more ideal procedure on pairing students and providing a measure to assess achievements. Students will be given a post-test to determine post-study local social studies aptitudes, where achievement can be assessed in a comparison to pretest. This study will investigate the effects of supporting technology on social studies process skills and aptitudes. The research hypothesis is, number 1, the average social studies achievement scores of students using flipped classroom and mobile technologies for problem-based learning are higher than those using traditional non-technical study techniques. Number 2, attitude and self-efficiency scores for social studies instruction are higher than scores of pairs using traditional non-technical study techniques. The measure of student attitude or feelings toward learning social studies and technology is a big factor in this study. Arguments have been made that attitudes can be changed from one learning experience. Increased measurable attitudes can be assumed independent variables, leading to higher personal investment, persistence, continued involvement over time, and ideal enhanced performance, according to Cassidy, 2000. Measures of self-efficiency are important to determining and assessing the value of teaching and learning. The determination of whether or not the tools are in place for the student to complete the given task, and the level of materials the students have to perform the task. For the control group, these tools will include local guidebooks, maps, local history books, and pictures. The experimental group will be using mobile devices that have access to cloud containing the same information in digital format as the control group. Experimental group will also have applications on the device that provides mapping pictures, information through augmented reality, and ability to take pictures and share socially. Performance assessments are used to determine the effectiveness of problem-based learning. The same post-test will be provided to both the controlled and the experimental groups. A rubric for testing will be provided that contain the following coarse-grained elements: results of the study, what information was collected from the experiment; data analysis, how did the student cognitively organize the data; conclusions, what did the student learn; further research, and what do I learn next. Also, additional sub-criteria will be added to the rubrics to expand the analyzed data. 2 8th grade teachers will oversee and administer the pre-test and post-test data collection. Individual student project data will be collected by each of the student pairs and uploaded to the cloud. Cloud-based data storage allows the teachers to monitor the progress of the experimental students digitally during the experimental time frame. The control group, on the other hand, using traditional methods of learning, will be monitored weekly by weekly assignments turned in. The role that technology will play in the future of education depends on the research and development of future tools and a clear disclosure of findings from those who will be at the forefront of the next technological wave. Global, governmental, charitable, and commercial networks are emerging that will foster our economic stability as well as provide for our basic defenses. Educational technology will be the catalyst that all of these networks will be connected through. Education has a responsibility into the vision and role that technology will play in the future. Substitutes and resistance are also foreseen as new pedagogies and models will form and challenge the current structure. We need to adhere to the side of caution with influence that will break those systems that have lasting and proven success. On the forefront of education, especially in rural distance education, we now have blended classrooms where students split their time in a face-to-face classroom one week, online the next, and in the field doing survey or experiments after that. We need to be diligently watching for what new standards of core might mean for these learning environments. We need to invest more in exploration of social and cultural contexts that might bring about new technologies and the development of new scenarios, leading to better projections of what future cultures might benefit from. Resistance is always in the way of innovation, as is political persuasion. Not everything that is presented will be considered when designing the educational models of the future.